Uh,
Oh, got me singing my mind.
Great. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk may take a roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Present.
Councilmember Middleton. Present. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Present.
Councilmember Dundon,
Present.
Councilmember Strawn,
Present.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Present.
Council President Matavetsky.
Present.
Thank you.
Approval of the minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Approval of appointments. All right. So first we have the Planning Commission. We have the All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're starting with following the legal decision that was handed down yesterday. We have been directed by Corporation Counsel to appoint new committees in accordance with the charter provision that at least one minority party member must be on each committee. To that end, we are announcing these committees. Finance, Councilman Kavanaugh as the chair, Councilman Hotchkiss, and Councilman Strong. Employees, Council Member Porter as chair, and then Council Member Dundon and Councilman Strong. Planning as chair, Council Member Hotchkiss, and as members, Council Member Kavanaugh and Council Member Strong. Municipal and Public Affairs, Council Member Middleton, Council as chair, Council Member Dundon, and Council Member Strong. Public Works and Parks. As chair, Councilmember Dundon, additionally, Councilmember Porter and Councilmember Strawn. Rules and Procedures Special Studies Committee, as chair, Councilmember Hotchkiss, members, Councilmember Middleton and Councilmember Strawn. All right, now we're on approval of appointments. Planning Commission. So we had, all right, so we have three names that we received from the mayor, who has the appointments, and then we have the approval vote on those appointments. So our first one is, pardon me if I butcher this name, Christopher Judgy. Thank you, thank you, Councilman Strong. And I believe this one was for an alternate. Okay, so we'll take we'll call a roll on it.
Point of,
Information?
well, it's not really though.
Tito Martinez sent in a very nice letter regarding these folks. I wonder if we could read it into read the recommendation into the record. That's all.
So Tito Martinez wrote, I'm writing in support of the appointments of Chris Dziedzic, Gigi, and Emmanuel Priest as planning commissioners and Joe DeAngelo as an alternate. All three are valuable members of the commission and offer good insights and ask thoughtful questions. Chris and Manny have excellent records and always contribute at meetings. They are also up to date on their annual training requirements and never need reminders from staff to complete their courses every year. The experience and knowledge they've gained from their trainings and years as commissioners are invaluable to the decision-making of the commission and to it operating smoothly and professionally. Manny, in particular, has capably served the city for most of my time as Assistant Director of Planning, having been a member of the Planning Commission for the past 4 years and the Zoning Board of Appeals before that, from 2015 to 2017. I hope that all three are appointed and continue serving for many years to come. It would be disruptive to the Planning Commission to go through unnecessary turnover, especially if it means losing some of our most experienced and productive members.
Thank you. All right. And that also clarified that Christopher is not the alternate.
Are you open to any other discussion on that?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would just ask that, I don't even know if it's necessary to do a holdover, but I would like to make a motion to hold over these approval of the appointments to the next business meeting because I haven't had an opportunity to really evaluate these candidates. And I think I kind of set in motion this by asking if they are termed out because they're serving past their term limit. And yeah, so I set this in motion and I think I want a little bit more time to evaluate the candidates that were put forward.
I
Okay.
second. If we can, I'm not sure if we can do that. Do they? Okay,
Yes. So,
I second it.
okay, okay. All right, then, do we take a vote on,
Councilmember Porter,
Aye. Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
That's what I thought too.
Nay.
Councilmember Dundon,
Nay.
Councilmember Strawn,
Nay.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
nay?
That is 4-3 with nays.
So we shall,
So I'd like to go forward with making the motion of accepting those three applicants.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, clerk calls the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Strawn,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Nay.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
6-1.
The motion carries. All right, so now on to the Commission for the Conservation of the Environment. have as our slate of 9 for the commission, and we will not be assigning the term lengths. Some of these people will be 1 year and some will be 2, and we will follow up and announce that information at a later meeting to determine who wants to serve 1 or 2 years. So we have for our slate of 9, Luke Day, Tom Costello, Richard Genaccio, Ashley Stayford, Darius Bang, Matt Ryan, Julian Shepherd, and Scott Loffer, and Eric Dink. Can we do a voice vote on this?
Sure.
Okay. So, I guess someone needs,
Somebody need to make a motion? I make a motion on,
I second.
okay. Can we take a voice vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. All right. Public, now we move on. Let's move on to our public hearing. Please note that comments during this particular portion of the meeting should be focused on the topic at hand. There will be an opportunity for all other public comment after the public hearing portion of the meeting. Once again, this is a public hearing, is only related to the bond ordinance. We will have additional public comment after the public hearing for the bond ordinance. Our public hearing tonight is regarding RL 24-13, an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the maximum cost thereof is $11,937,500, appropriating said amount for such purposes and authorizing the issuance of bonds in the city in the principal amount not to exceed $11,937,500 to finance said appropriation. City residents are welcome to speak. You have 5 minutes to discuss the bond ordinance. If anyone is here to speak on the bond ordinance, you may come forward now. Thank you. Welcome.
Ah. It's got to be green, John.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Here we go. Just when I'm John Solak, I'm a resident of Binghamton when I'm not on the Altiplano. Okay, on the I didn't see any well, what's changed? Here's what's changed. 250,000 in grant funding. Back in the good old days, we were told not to get alarmed with capital projects because the city was only paying 5%. You know, it's only 5%. And all of a sudden, now we're into the 20%. I see out of 11 million, the only grants you could hustle was 250,000. So things have changed drastically now. The federal and state government are putting it all on the local level. Next thing is, really, I think a question for all of you to answer is how much debt are you comfortable with? Forget the ratios, you know, forget what the bond council has told you, you know, when you were brought into the fold, we've got to meet with the bond council. And, oh, now I understand it. Forget about all that. What level of debt on this city are you comfortable with? You know, I mean, you know, you know, at some point, you're going to have to pick and choose, you know. Now you're not picking and choosing. And what happens to the old hook and ladder truck, you know? And anything, when the prospectus comes out on these securities, and this is regulated by the Security and Exchange Commission. And for years I've talked about this. And when you make a misstatement in all of your names will be on that prospectus. And when you make a misstatement on a prospectus, that subjects you to actually criminal charges. They've rounded up people in Miami because they've signed on to publicly traded debt and they've made false statements. Now, I can I've had correspondence in the past with bond councils and they've eliminated that. But you go right into, say, they will have what the economic drivers are in the city. You'll have all kinds of, flowery stuff. A lot of that flowery stuff is either dated, not true now, or was never true. These are misstatements of fact. So you better be damn careful when that prospectus comes out, because your public officers protection doesn't cover you. You're out there with every piece of paper that's publicly traded. These bonds are no different. So you better be careful on that. So I would love to see this city move forward. I don't see how it moves forward because it's approaching, and Mr. Abdelazim was here, it's approaching critical mass on this debt. And, well, what are you gonna say? We can't have a hook and ladder or whatever it is? I mean, it gets things, but the point is, did you ever get an answer on any of this? Is this a necessary replacement? Or you just get a list from the executive says, we're buying this new, Did you ever question these people at all? Are they on the record? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I've been at the work sessions and they've hardly been inspiring, but anyway, yeah. And, anyway, the statements probably can be fished out of the work session, but anyway, any forward-looking statement, here's the last thing, on a prospectus, any forward-looking statement, if you say, if you're staying in the state of the city and you're saying the state of the city is strong, and then you're going to HUD saying it's never been worse, crime, violence, poverty, we want the HUD money, but the state of the city, when it's time for an election, is strong. You're making a conflicting statement. You're making statements in the future that can be actionable. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here interested in speaking on the bond? Welcome.
Hey, George.
Tarek Abdelazim, Binghamton, New York. I think this is a good opportunity to follow up what John was talking about, that one of the most important tools for responsible fiscal management is a 5-year capital improvement plan. I've been advocating for this for years. The council can legislate it. You pass a law that says the administration must develop its first 5-year capital improvement plan by said date, and then do it every 5 years. This takes into account every public asset that tax dollars will need to fund, maintain, purchase, newly built, right? Vehicles and equipment, facilities, parks, water, sewer lines, lights, streets, sidewalks, all of our floodwater mitigation, levies, etc. All of these assets are put into a long-term financial planning tool so you can strategically and responsibly make decisions every budget season as to how we're going to maintain our most critical assets. It has been a crapshoot every year, and it is millions of dollars that are invested on pet political projects that don't necessarily meet the needs of our residents and our neighborhoods. There are certain neighborhoods that are prioritized over others because maybe the mayor is part of that clique, right? I admit, as Director of Planning, Housing, and Community Development, I couldn't get this done. We had a lot of other priorities to deal with. I don't use that as an excuse, but I'm willing here to say with humility, I failed. And I've been advocating for this because it's a responsible use of tax dollars. You need to put this plan in place. You don't have to look any further than just how the last administration and this administration plundered the pandemic recovery funds, $46 million as their own political slush fund. And just since I do this every time, feel free to visit binghamtonslushfund.com and you'll see exactly how the money was spent. But $46 million to help residents, workers, small businesses recover from the pandemic. And here's what we spent it on. $7 million for a parking ramp, $2 million for a new fire station, $500,000 on police vehicles, $10 million on water and sewer infrastructure, $1.8 million on public buildings. including this damn roof. That is because we have an incredibly poor planning and a history of poor planning and absolutely no planning when it comes to our comprehensive infrastructure of all of our public assets. It needs to change, and you can change it. You pass legislation, it requires the administration to develop this, and you'll be doing a huge service to taxpayers and future administrations, regardless of which political stripe they're from. My only other comment would be strike the engineering projects from this list. I don't think that unidentified projects should be included in capital, in your bonding scenario. So unless those are specifically dedicated to projects that are ongoing or urgent, I would strike that. I believe it's 300,000 from the plan. Thank you.
You. Is there anyone else here to speak on the bond ordinance? Come on down.
Hi, I'm John Patterson, and this is just a clarification of, if you would, please, what are the terms of the bond? In other words, what's the interest rate? How long is the term of the bond?
So
You know,
I'm gonna call on our Chair of Finance, Councilman Kavanaugh.
Right. So these will get marketed, and that gets determined as they're marketed. And these are authorizations to issue, and it won't all be bonds. Some of them will be bans, bond anticipation notes, and many of these things will get retired as bans and not ever be actually converted to bonds.
so you haven't put the proposals out in the marketplace yet,
Correct.
correct? Okay,
This is an authorization to do that, essentially.
very good.
Yes.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that is interested in speaking as part of the public hearing on bond ordinance? Okay. I check with the clerk to see if anyone has submitted anything via the clerk email. Sorry, we'll be doing that after the regular public comment. We will come back to any emails relating to the bond ordinance. So seeing no more people in the audience that are interested in speaking on the bond, we will do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we move on to setting a public hearing. So we have another public hearing that we need to set for our next business meeting. The city of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 24-42, a local law amending chapter 400 of the city charter, vehicles and traffic, adding the prohibition of operation of off-road vehicles in the city of Binghamton. This public hearing will take place at 6 p.m. during the March 13th, 2024 regular city council business meeting in the city council chamber at 38 Holly Street, Binghamton, New York. Residents wishing to participate in the public hearing may do so electronically by emailing their comments prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting or to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov in person during the meeting. We can now move on to public comment. Please be respectful. Each speaker will be given up to 5 minutes to address city council on city issues. Is anyone here for general public comment on city issues? Come on down.
Hi,
Hi, welcome.
thank you. My name is Aviva Friedman. I live and work in the city of Binghamton. Hello, new council.
Hi.
I was fortunate to be able to attend the hearings that we're hearing, I suppose, hearing/meeting regarding the question of who has the authority to appoint in case of failure to elect or in case of a vacancy on the city council. That was interesting, to say the least. I am glad that that the judge decided that city council, as in the city charter, has the right to appoint. I would also like to point out that in terms of a holdover, the sixth district exists in a way that is completely different from the way that it did before. And I happen to live in the sixth district. I formerly served on the city council for 4 years as well. And I do think it does seem a little arbitrary to me that it would have to be a Republican. Why couldn't it have been a Working Families member or Democrat who also lives in the district? I think that probably Councilman Strawn and I both during our time on council represented probably, I would estimate, an equal portion of what now the residents that are now in District 6. So I am excited to see who y'all choose to appoint. It seems like there's based on the composition of the audience, I think that I can imagine what topics people will be talking about. So I think I'm going to save my comments on that. I might write something up and send it in for the next meeting. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming down. Any further public comment? Welcome back.
I just gave the wrong URL. It's binghamton/fund.org, not com. So no,
You're so silly.
it is though. It's .org. Binghamton/fund.org. I want to start off with the comments from the last speaker. As somebody who has been has lived in this district for 13 years now, really haven't had great representation. And I try not to be personal. I'm very passionate about public service. I'm very passionate about service with intention, with excellence, to be very engaged, to cultivate a sense of civic engagement, the democratic process. And you did not do that for 4 years. You didn't introduce one piece of legislation. And I think people need to know the record. I emailed you consistently. You never responded once. I have all the receipts. I asked you to submit very basic good government reform bills, the most basic that county officials have had implemented for years, that I, as a citizen on a county board, submit every year. You as president wouldn't even get back to me. You wouldn't even allow it for a discussion. And then you and your Republican cronies at the federal level try to hijack John Solak's proposal because this council actually believes in democracy. It's really frustrating. I saw more energy from my good friend in service in 4 weeks than I did from you for 4 years. I hope that you do not appoint him if you have that chance to finish out this term and until the November elections. I've still played golf against you, Phil, right? And you could dislike me, but it needs to be stated. The second thing I'll say is that I think it's a fantastic opportunity that what's been presented with the St. Mary Rec Center. We wasted a lot of ARPA monies too, because Rich David wanted a little pet project of his youth center, didn't involve any youth, and we wasted hundreds of thousands in design. When that opportunity was right there the whole time, when others were telling him that opportunity was there. Now we finally have that opportunity. So I just want to commend the administration but also Pat, who's retiring as the Parks Director. He is someone special. And he really did some great work for this community. So I hope that you can carry this project forward and give him the legacy that he deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here for public comment? Welcome
John
back.
Patterson again, and this is in reference to the off-road vehicles. I think this is a very, very good idea. Sure. This is reference to the off-road vehicles. I think this is a great idea. It's very dangerous out there driving, and you can't see these people. They don't have their lights on. And is it just for off-road vehicles, or is it for the bicycles that have motorized mechanisms? I think they should be addressed also, because again, they run all over. They don't have lights. You can't see them at night. They don't have licenses. And to me, they're just as dangerous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak at public comment? Welcome.
Hello. My name is Jim Clune. I'm a Binghamton resident all my life, except for when I was in college, and raised all our kids here in Binghamton. I'm here representing some community groups, Broome County Peace Action, Broome County Veterans for Peace, some people at Citizen Action, some people at students and faculty at Binghamton University. That we had in discussions, we found that we had a common interest in coming to you with a proposed resolution for the ceasefire in Gaza. I know this is not usual city business. You do not have a direct responsibility, but all people and all bodies have a responsibility to say something. 70 American cities have passed a resolution of this kind. The resolution would call for a complete permanent ceasefire in Gaza. It would call for the release of hostages on both sides. And it would call for the reestablishment of financing for the United Nations Relief and Works Administration, which has been a great help for so many people in the Gaza Strip. I went to Israel Palestine in 2010 with a peace group. I went there under the impression that in general from the mass media and the general impression that Palestinians are either terrorists or victims. Actually, there are 5 million people, a whole lot of people with strengths and weaknesses like any of the rest of us. They've lived there for centuries. They have a vibrant culture. They have a strong nonviolence movement. They are delightful people to see, to live with. And they have been under occupation for 75 years. When we first went there, I saw the wall, the separation wall. The first thing that I saw on the way from in the bus from Tel Aviv airport to Jerusalem was water towers on top of Palestinian homes, but no water towers on top of Israeli homes. It was obvious to me right from that moment that it's partly it's a class distinction. Who's got the money, who's got the power, and who doesn't. It was very, very clear and very obvious. I saw a home in Sheikh Jarrah where the people the Palestinians had one day came back from work and found that Israeli settlers had gone in, taken all of their furniture and thrown it out on the street. Everything, thrown it out on the street, put up a new gate, got themselves inside and locked it. People could not come back to their homes. And this happens over and over and over again. We were in Hebron. We were in the Palestinian area of the market district. There was a fence over the street. I asked why was that there? Because the settlers who have a settlement on the hill just above it throw their garbage out their back doors onto the market street.
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. Including toilet water. I'm sorry if I have to use inflammatory what might be considered inflammatory rhetoric, but Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu said that this is apartheid. The current onslaught onto Gaza leaves Palestinians with no choice to either leave, and that would be ethnic cleansing, to endure, and that would be under apartheid, or to die, and that would be genocide. The U.S. has the U.S. pays for this with $3.8 billion. I'll end on a positive note. Yesterday, in the Democratic primary in Michigan, a group had asked people to vote non-committal in the Democratic primary. Joe Biden got 80%. The reason that happened, this group wanted people to go down to do it, said, we're looking for 10,000 votes. They got 101,000 votes.
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that you consider the fact that Palestinians have human rights too and need to be heard.
Is there anyone else that's here to speak at public comment?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Miriam Malka Frankel. And before I begin, I would like to thank the City Council men and women for allowing me the platform and time to speak and represent what I and many of the Jewish women like me have been silenced on for too long. With the threat of trendy activism currently infecting our community and mass digital spaces, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict stands out as a stark reminder of the dangers of oversimplification, the unresearched hive mind, and misrepresentation of truth. Geopolitical issues reduced to rhyming slogans do a major disservice to the depth and complexity that define such conflicts. The bandwagon effect, encouraged and strengthened by Hamas supporters, often promote a surface-level understanding where push notifications and social media posts are taken as undeniable truth, regardless of how reflective of historical or evidential fact they are, and where documented occurrences such as the rape and slaughter of Jewish women on October 7th are laughed off as cinematic masterpieces. As a feminist and current student at Binghamton University, I initially assumed all women, regardless of ethnic, religious, or other demographics, would agree on the significance of believing all survivors when they share their stories of assault and rape, both Israeli and Palestinian. I hoped that despite our political differences, we could all unite under the banner of equality and elevate the voices of women and men affected by violence. However, after experiencing the aftermath of October 7th, I see the truth. Many individuals who claim the title feminist and peace pursuer are incorrectly labeled. These individuals do not stand up for all women and rather use selective activism as a platform to spread their politics and harmful rhetoric. I, on the other hand, am concerned for the justice and rights of all women and men. As a woman, a Jew, a descendant of Holocaust survivors, and a descendant of survivors of millennia of discrimination and persecution banned from Judea and Eretz Yisrael, I feel for the Palestinians. I pray for their safety in the same breath that I pray for my family, the Jews and Israeli citizens of all religions' safety. I am sure everyone here is hoping to shed light on the inequities Palestinians face during this conflict. However, the blame pro-Palestinians place is on the wrong shoulders. Eretz Yisrael, Israel in English, did not cause this mess. Hamas and their extremist allies are the guilty ones. The ceasefire people call for existed prior to October 7th and is a ceasefire that Hamas violated by murdering, raping, and torturing over 1,000 individuals like me simply over their ethno-religion. As a woman who has both suffered assault and anti-Semitism, I intimately know how hard it is never to get justice like the victims of October 7th, for people to discredit you and illustrate narratives that frame victims as provocative and deserving of their pain. They often choose to forgo factual evidence and paint a picture that best serves their objective, just like these speakers and other individuals have. Their remarks are not the first to do this, and regrettably, I believe they won't be the last. Numerous documented cases illustrate the tragic reality faced by Palestinian and Israeli women at the hands of Hamas. There are videos displaying Hamas's celebrations following the rape and murder of my people and the parading of their brutalized bodies around as trophies. Does this sound like a group who will observe a ceasefire to you? Prior to writing this remark, I rewatched all the footage streamed by Hamas operatives, and what I witnessed was sheer brutality, genocide, and hate. I read how bullets were found in the breasts and genitals of Jewish Israeli women, and semen was found on their person as well. Please watch these videos before denying a truth proven time and time again, or passing an item of legislation that can further harm the survivors and their families with deceptive labeling as a legislation for peace. Advocating for a ceasefire that existed and was violated by Hamas over and over again since October 7th is a testament to how the amendment of free speech has been misconstrued by the masses as an invictus of hate speech. How an environment has formed where even the least educated and affected individuals can share their anti-Semitic rhetoric with little to no facts to support their claims. As I'm sure you agree, council members, it's crucial to recognize that these assaults and war crimes by Hamas and their allies extend far beyond a single date, such as October 7th, and are indicative of broader patterns of violence. The idea that many pro-Palestinian groups call Hamas member martyrs and do not condemn their actions is mind-boggling.
You have 1 minute left.
Where was the ceasefire when Levy al-Bag was kidnapped from Israel by Hamas and her, among many other women such as Noah Argamani, Karina Ariev, and Agam Berger, witnessed or experienced themselves raped by multiple Hamas members? These innocent people are still held captive in Gaza, and not condemning this action is a disgrace almost as strong as committing it. So to anyone who does not call for the freeing of hostages among a call for ceasefire, I say to you exactly what my ancestor Moses said to Pharaoh in Exodus: let my people go. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak on public comment? Please come on down. I would appreciate if the audience would try and keep quiet regardless of whether you support or love.
They gonna do what people could react however they feel like reacting. You can't govern how people do their
I can make a request.
All right, but it's not gonna happen, I'm sure. Hello, I'm Valerio. I'm a community organizer here in Binghamton. And it's funny to me that she didn't hear that the gentleman that came before her also said to release hostages, right, for both sides. So we just missed that. And also, I would like to say this conflict has been going forever, years and years and years. Last conflict was about 2008, 2009. Once the truce was over between Palestine and Israel, when NATO wasn't involved, Israel went into Gaza, killed about 1,300 Palestinians, and nobody, it wasn't a world thing. Like, people knew about it. They protested in California about it. There wasn't no ceasefire then, because let's be honest, Israel has a whole established military. The Palestinians don't. So to continue with that, also the city of Binghamton, when all of this went down, they came out and they were in support of Israel, which I don't see nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, we also have Palestinian families that's been losing hundreds and hundreds of family members. I have a friend, her whole family is wiped out. She's safe because she's here. So it's very detrimental that we do stand up with our Palestinian families in this community that are mourning from having their whole family wiped out. To have to like talk about, I don't have any more family at home, that's devastating. I couldn't even imagine feeling like that. I feel, you know, of course, no one should be getting hurt in this, but to be losing thousands and thousands of people and generation of people being like just wiped off the earth, that's an issue. And I feel like we should speak about it, and our Palestinian neighbors that lived in Binghamton should also know that they're being supported as well.
The same way we sat up there and we were supporting Israel is the same way that we need to be supporting our Palestinian community members as well.
Thank you. Is there anyone else interested in speaking at public comment?
Hi, Rebecca Rathmell, City of Binghamton. This is Haley. I want to first start by just saying that I hold deep respect and appreciation for 6 of you on this council. I'm not here tonight to speak about the 6th district seat. I'm here tonight because it was brought to my attention that a member of Veterans for Peace intended to submit a ceasefire resolution. And I grew up in the DC area. Since I was in middle school, my class every year took a trip to the Holocaust Museum. And processing the atrocities committed against Jewish people and those who dared to resist the Nazi regime during World War II has always been impossible for me. I will never understand such hate. I will also never understand the inaction of those who knew of the inhumane treatment that was occurring yet did nothing to stop it. I believe strongly that being pro-Palestine and against anti-Semitism go hand in hand, and that all systems of oppression reinforce one another and none can be fought in isolation. The word genocide did not actually exist prior to 1944. It was coined by a Polish Jewish lawyer specifically to describe Nazi policies of systemic murder between 1939 and 1945. 80 years later, there is no doubt in my mind that genocide is the most fitting word to apply to the Israeli regime's current occupation and obliteration of Gaza and its mass killing of Palestinian civilians. Between October 7th, 2023 and today, armed violence has claimed the lives of over 29,000 Palestinians, including more than 12,500 children, as well as the lives of over 1,400 Israelis, injuring more than 70,000. Watching the carnage as it has unfolded since October has been helplessly excruciating. Standing and marching in solidarity has felt futile amidst the reality of American complicity. The Biden administration's unwavering commitment to sending billions of taxpayer dollars to support Netanyahu's military assault enrages me in a way I have yet to find sufficient words for. With the words I do have, however, I urge each of you to use this platform to advocate for measures that will result in the least amount of death and violence in support of the ceasefire resolution submitted by Veterans for Peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak at public comment? Welcome.
Hi, my name is Oren Levy, and I have a few points on this matter. First of all, there's a baby and a toddler that are hostages that were taken by Hamas. And until they are returned, ceasefire cannot happen. Hamas has committed to repeat the October 7th massacre again and again. And they didn't just say it one time, And they didn't say it just by one person. There were multiple high-level people who said that they would repeat it. Israel is going through a great length to reduce casualties for Gazans. They're sending troops on the ground instead. I mean, if you guys are saying that there's genocide, then they could have just carpet bombed the whole thing. But they're sending troops to get killed and wounded just because they don't want non-combatant getting killed. The numbers that Hamas says, 30,000. Once you bring the 30,000 number and you don't say how many Hamas terrorists were killed in that number, you are not a genuine and honest person. Most of that number are Hamas terrorists. Shut up, please. Until today, Israel is still receiving rockets from Gaza. I have a family that lives in Israel, and they're getting rockets every day, not just from Gaza, but from Lebanon too. Not just from Lebanon too, but from Yemen. Not just from Yemen, but from Syria too. Do you hear it on the news? You don't. Apparently, Hamas can run out of everything but rockets. The gentleman that came here said that there were walls. Why were there walls? Because of suicide bombings. If there were no suicide bombings, there would not be walls. And lastly, the population in Gaza and the West Bank has exploded. Genocide doesn't happen if, I don't know, you guys are mentioning genocide like it's candy. Genocide is a serious word. That means systematically killing of people, and that's not happening. And lastly, yesterday, Hamas rejected a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's interested in speaking at public comment? Welcome.
My name's Ed Nizalowski. I'm a resident of Tioga County, so I participate in a lot of activities for Veterans for Peace and Broome Peace Action. So I fancy myself a historian, and one of the areas that I study is the history of social justice campaigns. And I marvel and are in awe of all the people that have sacrificed, whether it's women's rights, abortion, abolition of slavery, animal rights, mental health issues, so on and so forth. So, and many of these people have given up careers. Many people have lost their lives. One of the aspects of this is that in regard to women's rights, there were a number of males who made significant sacrifices so that women could get the right to vote, and other ways of bridging the inequality between the two genders. There were many Caucasians who made major sacrifices for the abolition of slavery. Some of them actually gave up their own lives. And one of the areas I investigated was, the people of various aspects that have tried to do things on behalf of, other people that aren't necessarily part of their interest group. And the one person that I want to bring up is Rachel Corrie. She was a young woman from the state of Washington, She went to Palestine. She was very concerned about the destruction of Palestinian homes. And of course, we've heard a great deal about, settler violence and so on and so forth. Well, she was in a home that she was trying to save from an Israeli bulldozer, and she lost her life. Now, her parents have created a foundation, in her memory to try to keep dialogue going between Jews, Arabs, and Palestinians. And one of the things that I investigated, if you go to Wikipedia and you look up Arab-Israeli cooperation, there are amazing efforts going on to try to continue cooperation and communication and try to, relieve the kind of violence and hatred that has led to what we've seen over the last 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak at public comment? Thank you. Come on down.
Can you hear me okay? All right. I'm Amari Pavati. I'm a student at Binghamton University, and I live, work, and study here year-round. I'm here to speak on the hopefully upcoming ceasefire resolution. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I'm here to speak about the ceasefire resolution. I want to discuss just very briefly, since we have heard a lot already, just a couple of small corrections and points and directions of information. The scale of bombing has been carpet level. You can see from The Guardian and from other news sources just the scale that it has happened. So I would encourage everyone here to just check that claim on their own. Again, on the term of genocide, there is a real significant reason that that term is being used here. It's not thrown around like candy. It is being used because the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, who hears these cases, has said that there's a probability of genocide. That is terrifying. Amnesty International, a well-respected human rights watch group, has also used the term genocide and has expressed so explicitly that there is a clear risk of genocide. Beyond that, there is a clear risk of famine. 15% of all people in northern Gaza and 5% in Rafah, which is a safe zone, which is continually being bombed, are at the highest level of catastrophic hunger that is monitored by experts. Again, I encourage everyone to read the World Food Program report that covers that. But all of these are obviously issues in Gaza. Here in Binghamton, people in residents of the city have been protesting in the hundreds. Just a couple of 2 months ago, it was in downtown Binghamton. Students at Binghamton University have been continually speaking up and protesting throughout. And members of our community are deeply and directly and closely affected. And personally, I have family who are currently fighting in the IDF. People I know have family who are currently in Gaza, and they don't know if they're dead or alive. They don't have contact with them. I came right before this, literally minutes before this. I was sitting in a room in a discussion with a number of professors giving presentations comparing what is happening in Gaza to genocides across history and across the world. And the speaker, who I couldn't leave while she was speaking, and it made me a couple minutes late, but I just couldn't step away. She was describing her family's experience. They came from a village in what is now Israel and was at the time mandatory Palestine. They were expelled. They went through Jordan, through Syria, came to the US. The town was destroyed. There is archaeology. She's an archaeologist, and 300 yards away, there is archaeology being done that she cannot get to, that she cannot visit her village. She cannot do work that she would like to do. She cannot go to the West Bank to see her family. She cannot go to Gaza to see her family. This is an immediate and direct issue for people here in Binghamton. I would like just one more time to encourage everyone here to seek out resources, to seek out information, to consider these. I think in any good faith view of what is happening right now, that you will come to see that there is such a significant risk of genocide that a city council has an obligation to amplify the voices of its constituents in a symbolic resolution that calls for a ceasefire and does call for the release of hostages as well, and the reinstatement of humanitarian aid through UNRWA and an escalation of humanitarian aid as well. That's all. Thank you so much.
You. Is there anyone else here that's interested in speaking at public comment? Welcome.
Good evening, council members. My name is Hakim. I'm a student at Binghamton University, a resident, and someone that works in the city of Binghamton as well. And I'm here to ask you to all please oppose the resolution that is being proposed. I am a student of this topic, and I don't have enough time in 5 minutes to discuss this. In school, I'm getting a bachelor's degree in political science and Judaic studies. Israel and the Palestinian conflict is the almost entirety focus of my study. And in 5 minutes, we can never cover that because I am 3 years in and haven't even scratched the surface. But I will tell you that what I can talk about is Hamas. I can talk about the fact that there is a genocidal organization. The word genocide has been used a lot tonight, and I'll use it here. There is an organization that in its very charter has said expressly that they seek the elimination of the Jewish state in its entirety. My family, my last name is Hakim. We come from the Arab countries. My family lived in Syria until we were expelled. We had nowhere else to go but Israel. And when I say that I am a proud Zionist, something that people don't often expect me to say after, is that I am proudly pro-Palestinian. The loss of life on both sides is abhorrent. The experiences that are being underwent by people in Gaza are abhorrent. But I will say that the experiences of my people of being raped and mutilated while sleeping in their beds, of children that are being kept in tunnels, of people that I know personally that are still being kept hostage to this day, 145 days in, it's unacceptable. There is no reason why this war would be going on if not for Hamas's actions on October 7th. For years now, Hamas has been in power. What have they done for the Palestinian people? I ask all of you this question. Hamas is poison. They are poison to the Jewish people and to Israel. They are poison to the Palestinian people. And if we ever want to see a shared future for both sides, then they need to go. And as awful as the loss of life is, it is well documented that the reason why is because they are hiding their military installations under UNRWA schools. They are hiding server farms under the headquarters in southern Gaza. All of these things, like people before me have said, can be independently verified. This war is awful, and I agree that there should be a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire, but it cannot be implemented until Hamas is eliminated, because every minute that Hamas stays in existence is another minute that generations of children are being taught to hate. The generations of children are being militarized. The generations of children are going to be taught that there is no solution but an intifada revolution. An intifada revolution is a call to kill my people. I live on the MLK Peace Squad. I woke up on a Saturday morning to hear people calling for the death of my people. It's a sad reality. The student before me spoke about the hundreds that have protested. Well, I am president of the pro-Israel group on campus, and I can say that hundreds have protested against. There are calls to, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Where is there room for Jewish people? Where is there room for Israel? From the river to the sea is a call to exterminate our people. It's a call for genocide. It's a call for violence. All of this violence needs to stop. And it starts with an organization that in its charter says that they exist to do violence, that they exist to kill, maim, murder, and rape. That is where it starts, and that is where it needs to end. Hamas needs to end, and then that's the only way that we're going to be able to have a shared future for all of our peoples. Just last week, Hillel and the Judaic Studies Department and a number of other sponsors at Binghamton brought in a Palestinian and Israeli to speak together.
You have 1 minute left.
I was inspired because I spoke at that very event in that forum. Dialogue is possible. A future is possible, but it needs to be built on a foundation of understanding, an understanding that I have a right to exist and so do you. And Hamas is the antithesis of that understanding. Every minute that Hamas exists is poison to our society and to our future. And I'm only 20 years old, but already things aren't looking good. I want a future for me and my children and their children's children, that there will never be another Israeli-Palestinian conflict or war, but it starts with eliminating the source, and that is Hamas. And that is why I urge all of you to please vote against this resolution, because this resolution ignores all of those facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak as part of public comment? Welcome.
See if I could start this out right. My name is Henry Rostkowski. I've lived in the city of Binghamton my whole life. I own a building that is vacant now. I've owned it for about 43 years, and I've had problems with code for almost that entire time. The building was shut down at one point because the building was condemned, and they forced out a tenant that I had. Well, basically, I had really been living in the building too. Me and the other tenant were forced out within 72 hours. And so from there, I should have walked away from the building. I didn't. I'm going to try to really make this real brief, because if I really go into detail, I'll, 5 minutes won't do it. Kind of a long story short, it was shut down, and when the bankruptcy was over, and during which time the building's roof opened up and there was all sorts of other damage to the building. The state of the building looked much worse during those years, and so it was an ugly building, admittedly. And I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm sorry. Public speaking is not my thing. To kind of pull myself back from walking away from it, which was my intention at the time, I found out that the bank didn't want to take the building at that time. So I thought, well, I'm going to buy the building for back taxes, because I put a lot of work into it over those years, and it just seemed for naught. But I was struggling through and trying to do that. And I did a lot of the construction work myself. Now I'm like basically a broken, destroyed person, because code through the years has just beaten me down, and it's really kind of pathetic. But so I had a new roof put on it while I was still working. So I did that, stabilized the building. And then when I retired, I thought this would be a good retirement project to just try to get myself unbroken from being in this state of basically PTSD, where I couldn't even function at the building, because every time I turn around, code is zinging me for something else. So in recent years, I was getting zinged by code and was doing painting and stuff on the outside, trying to work through the kind of not being able to function there. And that went on for several years, and I was trying to do my best. And then it kind of really dawned on me that I'm too old and incapable of doing the work that I wanted to do. So I broke down and had the building sided. So from the second floor up, I had it sided and fascia, soffit trim, everything. The building is the best looking vacant building in the city of Binghamton, in my opinion. And then the year after that was done, the city zinged me for having what they described as debris around the building, and it was all building materials. And I requested to go to court from that, and the code inspector said no. He refused to take me to court. So I was just kind of in denial. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to move the materials or tarp them, because we're at a standstill. I want court to weigh in on this. And I was refused that. And then the city sent people in, this is in February of 22. So they So here the stuff was covered in snow. Some of my building materials you couldn't even see because there was like a 6-inch snowdrift that covered a lot of the vinyl siding that I was saving that was reasonable, like salvageable material.
You have
And-
1 minute left.
Oh,
Sorry.
see, I knew this one. Anyway, long story short, they lost in court. The city reimbursed me for property, which the Corporation Council could have reimbursed to me, but he was biased against me. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't have just reimbursed me, jumping through all the hoops of putting this stuff in. Took it to court, won in court, but I filed for a with the New York State District Attorney's General office. I complained that I was not allowed due process because they stole my property. So I'm getting hit again with more code things, and it's almost like, I mean, I could go out and there's a litany. I could give you a litany of violations, and I guess I'm out of time. So I just want to say that code has, I think, a problem.
Thank you so much for coming down. Is there anyone else that is interested in speaking at public comment? Welcome.
I'll get it down. Nice group of people. You know, did I tell you this before? You almost look curated. You know, I mean, it doesn't look like you just won an election. It looks like you belong on wedding cakes or something. Anyway, Manny Priest and Chris are political operatives. They've worked for Libis, Akshar, and Chris works for Mahalco now. These are patronage people. These are not just people of the community that operate in goodwill. They operate in political will. And they're on other boards, by the way. You know, Chris is on the land bank. You know, this is getting like Hooterville here. I mean, it's 45,000 people. I know everybody doesn't want to be on a board, but when you have this kind of interlocking on these various boards and commissions that are based on how many petitions you can pass around, I think it stinks. I think these are the only, well, we can't lose these people, their experience. Well, you know, how do you get your experience? No, everything that these people do, I'm familiar with them. They do on a political bent, you know? So I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you approved those 2 appointments. You know, I mean, to me, and, you know, at least make them fill out a form, say, what other boards are you on? You know, I mean, there's a stipend connected with this, I assume, $2,000, something like that. No, 0. Anyway, you know, these are I'm just against interlocking boards. I'm against people being on too many boards at one time. I don't think it is good. Now on the fireworks, 14 fireworks. The interesting thing about that is the applicant doesn't come before you. The city clerk becomes before you. So they file a permit application at the city clerk's office, and essentially the city clerk comes down and becomes a lobbyist for the person requesting the permit. So no questions can be asked because, well, it's the same as last year. Okay, great. Pets can't, every Friday night, pets can't sleep. You know, the sound in this valley goes all over. You could be very close and not hear anything. The farther you get away, the more you hear. If you don't believe me, go up Riverside Drive. You'll hear a noise in downtown, and the more you head to Johnson City, the harder, the stronger it gets. So PSD doesn't do the environment any good. A possible tragedy. They've got a baseball game going there. Millions of dollars have gone to stadium. I guess they got problems again. You know, I would be for a resolution just telling people that they're cut off, like Boscov's. This is the last of it. How about a resolution for the Rumble Pony? This is the last of it. No more money from us on anything. Let people stand alone. Okay, so you Google Boscov's, money from government money. They get government money nowhere else but here. They just opened up a store in West Virginia. They have no debt. They have $1.5 billion worth of income, no debt. And we're giving them $10 million. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. Dick's Sporting Goods, House of Sport, $8 million worth of county ARPA money, plus $2 million more. I mean, you know what's going on here. This is ridiculous. I mean, this ARPA money, and this is a good point. You know, it either goes in such trivial amounts that it can't do any good. You know, oh, we're giving this church a refrigerator, we're doing this or that.
You have 1 minute left.
The effect of it has been so diluted that it has no effect now. I mean, you could have done something big, you could have done something grand, you could have done something where you could point to it and say, that's what we did with our ARPA money. Oh, I know that. I know that. I know. You wanted it though, right? Here, take a payoff right now. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess, how many, was it a minute, 30 seconds? 20 seconds?
Seconds left. You have about 30 seconds left.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, in 30 seconds, I can say this. Phil should give some money to the people that represented him, because the candidate that has an objection to an election, whether it's a nominating petition being thrown out, DA Battisti challenged an election 4 years ago, they paid. They're the ones that's standing. They're the ones that gained the benefit. So how about it, Phil? Kick in a little bit, $2,000, $3,000 out of the paycheck for the legal defense of the city. That'd be really nice. Thank you.
We're both at time, and a reminder about personal attacks. Personal attacks not being permitted.
Don't say it's a personal attack and then tell me what the personal attack was. I asked Phil to reimburse. I don't know what's a personal attack, if you don't mind.
Just try and tone it down. Thank you.
Try and tone it down.
You can come back for your 5 minutes at the next meeting. Thank you.
But you just made an allegation that there was a personal attack. There was no personal attack there. I asked.
Anyone else that's interested in speaking at public comment? All right. Oh, we got one more. Come.
What am I supposed to do again? I'm Anna, I'm Anna Warfield, District 3 resident. Yeah. So it seems like you guys had like a nice win this week, which I'm really happy for you. I was hopeful for that outcome because it seemed like logical. But I'm glad that we have understanding moving forward. I would like to say that paying attention over YouTube has been wonderful. I'm thankful for my representative, Robert Kavanaugh, for all that he has done with his research and advocacy for us. Yeah. Anyway, I came in late to this, so it seems like things have been a little intense, and I think you're doing great. Keep up the good work, and yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Final call for public comment. All right. If there's no one else that would like to speak, the clerk will read into record the public comment that was emailed into their office.
So first from David Whalen. Good afternoon. I'm writing to express my support for Mayor Cram's initiative, providing the Salvation Army with funding to support their move and infrastructure build out at a new location on Walnut Street. While the Salvation Army certainly provides a vital need for some of our most underserved community members, its location on Washington Street in the heart of our downtown business district has long been out of place. This potential funding and move would be the culmination of over 20 years of work and would certainly improve the quality of life for residents, businesses, and visitors of downtown Binghamton, as well as the clients of the Salvation Army, I hope. I'm available for further questions or comments if necessary. Thank you. From Cindy McNamara. Though I usually shop at the Weiss on Robinson Street, I find it disconcerting that you are closing what looks like a necessary commodity in the area. The Weiss on Conklin Ave serves a large population in both Binghamton and Conklin and areas in between. It is convenient for people who don't own cars, of which there are many in this area. From James Griffin. Sorry that I missed the meeting yesterday. Weiss is closing due to the loss of money due to shoplifting. Any business would do the same, as if they do not make a profit, they go out of business. Shoplifters should be arrested and held accountable for their action. People rather than shoplifters will just go to Weiss on Robinson Street, and then they will be closing also. Maybe all the grocery stores and other businesses will also close their doors, and there will be shopping online only. One way to stop the shoplifting. And all the good, honest people get hurt, and the shoplifters just go to other stores and do their thing. Do not know the answer to this problem, as it does get worse instead of better. Wonder why the prices are so high. Say something when you witness shoplifting. From Paula Rizzo, we need a nearby supermarket. In inclement weather, it would be really tough for seniors like me to drive miles for groceries. Please do whatever you can to prevent reducing our quality of life here on the east side. From Manoharan Krishnaswamy. Honorable City Council President, we Apple Food and Grocery, located just opposite Weiss Market, Conklin Ave. We were unable to attend the meeting conducted by City Council on February 13th, and we apologize for that. Definitely, there must be a big impact for this neighborhood regarding their day-to-day grocery shopping and convenient location, and we are aware of the future traffic in our store for grocery shopping. Moving forward and handling the situation as a united community, we are committed to excellence in our C-store with certain heights with available resources. This is our promise and commitment to our community and the city of Binghamton, New York. Thank you.
Right. We can now move on to our first reading legislation. Thank you to everyone who came out to speak tonight. Our first item includes a seeker introductory ordinance 024-06 considered in finance with Councilmember Kavanaugh. Councilman.
Okay, so this is a sort of a belt and suspenders approach to the secret determination to cover us for bonding purposes. The following seeker motion is in reference to the legislation before us, introductory ordinance 024-06, an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the maximum cost thereof is $11,937,500, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds in the city of Binghamton in the principal amount not to exceed $11,937,500 to finance said appropriation. The ordinance includes the following projects: engineering studies of localized flooding, sanitary sewer lines, and other engineering projects, the repair of municipal facilities, including a pump station, garage, public carousel, and recreational courts, the repair of infrastructure, including sewer lines, water lines, and a levee, the creation of a public recreational trail, and the purchase of fire trucks and dump trucks. Seeker has previously been conducted for the Ross Park Trail Project and the Sixth Ward Sewer Interceptor Project, and therefore no further environmental review required for those projects. For the remainder of the projects, I make a motion to declare the proposed projects described above as all type 2 actions in accordance with NYCRR subsection 617-5C, as they involve the following. 1, maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes to an existing structure or facility. 2, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building energy and fire codes. Street openings and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair and maintenance of existing utility facilities. information collection, including basic data collection and research, water quality and pollution studies, traffic counting, engineering studies, surveys, subsurface investigations, and soil studies that do not commit the agency to undertake, fund, or approve any type 1 or unlisted action. And finally, the purchase or sale of furnishings, equipment, or supplies, including surplus government property other than the following: land, radioactive material, pesticides, herbicides, or other hazardous materials. Therefore, no further environmental review is required.
Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilman Dundon. Discussion. Councilman Kavanaugh.
All right, since this is, again, like, I think it's the second time we've done the secret determination. This is City Council standing up, declaring ourselves lead agency on these items and determining that they're all not subject to further in-depth environmental impact statements and review because they are of a nature that the state secret law has already determined to be not largely impactful. And again, these are the projects we're undertaking are either in the nature of studies, in the nature of just buying stuff like the fire trucks, or fixing basically current infrastructure, replacing current sewer lines, opening up streets and replacing sewer and water lines, repairing public garages, repairing levees that are already existing, that sort of thing. And then the other two projects that were mentioned, the trail and refresh my memory, there's a lot of these. The trail and the interceptor, I think, was the other one. Yeah. Yes, the 6-word interceptor and the park trails already went through their seeker process. So this, and as I said at the beginning, this is kind of a belt and suspenders approach, making sure that we've made the correct determinations, which is important to the bond process. That's the end of my pitch.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Oh, Councilman Porter.
So, so I can understand. We need to have these seeker processes in order to have these bonds, correct? Or to get these bonds, right?
I mean, if Corporation Council wants to chime in, otherwise I'll go ahead. Yes, so we have to make a determination that these projects don't require further seeker action, that they are that these are all type 2 in the ones I just listed, or they've already been dealt with earlier in their planning processes, which is the trail and the interceptor. So everything else falls into the type 2 action that doesn't require further review. Yes, we need to do this part before we can actually discuss and vote on the bond.
Okay. All right,
Any further discussion? Okay. So again, this is a motion relating to the seeker, not on the bond itself. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call? Sorry. We'll take a roll. Sorry.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Strawn,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye. Okay. So, motion carries.
Now the big one. I now make a motion to introduce introductory ordinance 024-06, an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements and for the city, stating the maximum cost thereof is $11,937,500, appropriating said amount to such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds in the city in the principal amount not to exceed $11,937,500 to finance said appropriation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilman Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilwoman Middleton. Discussion on this legislation.
Nobody wants to discuss anything on this?
I'll start with the discussion. So since this is our first time doing a bond ordinance as a council, I will say that from the beginning, there was a long learning process and we're extremely conscientious of the city's debt in making these decisions. And we didn't just accept the original information that was provided to us. We actually got a number of executive summaries on the items that were presented that are on this bond ordinance. And I think as we move forward, we're going to want more information. And I think a lot of us have been in favor of seeking out 5-year plans for different departments and looking for really a better mapping of our city's financial trajectories. So feel like we got in a little bit late on some of these projects to completely analyze them, but I think moving forward with all future bond things, we're going to be extremely diligent about how we are analyzing them. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Hotchkiss. Any further discussion?
I mean, if anyone,
Councilman Kavanaugh.
yeah, sorry. If anyone's interested, go back and look at not this week's work session, but the previous 2 work sessions where we were really trying to suss out for council people that were not here, not involved in the budget discussions that resulted in the planning of these expenditures, really trying to suss out the process of where these figures come from, why we need to do it, why we need to do, why we tend to do one large bond every year instead of going to the market multiple times. And one of the downsides of doing it that way is, I think one of the commentators brought up the kind of nebulous $300,000 in engineering studies, which is one of the first things I was sort of objecting to. But it gives us some flexibility to that money doesn't have to be spent, but it gives us flexibility to undertake studies for grant programs and things that come up during the fiscal year without having to go back to that bond trough again and again. And that helps us with being predictable to the market and things like that. So there are certain reasons for a certain degree of leeway in some of these projects. But I absolutely echo Councilman Hotchkiss. And I think if you go back and look at the work sessions, what we have been repeating, that moving forward, it's going to be necessary to have a more concrete plan in place, more justification for this council, I think, being willing to, loosen the city purse strings and take on that additional debt. And I think we're all, I think we've all had, I've been, in conversations with all of the council people individually that we've been, that those numbers, those debt percentages are now part of our consciousness, I think. And it's something that we are not taking lightly. But when you go through this list, when you consider these lists, we're dealing with fire equipment that is very old, dump trucks that dump and plow trucks that kind of get just replaced on a schedule. And would we like to see that schedule mapped out and available and know what's coming down the pike? Yes. We're dealing with absolutely needed levy repairs. We're dealing with public works garage that was and walls that were damaged that just need repair. Most of these are necessary items or continuations of long underway projects like the sewer interceptor, like improvements at Ross Park, which is phase upon phase of improvements. So that's the absolute bulk of this spending. I think that's it. Yeah.
Is there any other council members that are interested in making a comment? Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna echo both Councilman Kavanaugh and Councilman Hotchkiss. I mean, I find it deeply disturbing that there is not 5-year capital plans that are being provided. And it sounds like that is not just to us or as some way of, trying to cripple us as a city council. It sounds like this is the status quo in City Hall, and that is deeply disturbing. So I definitely think going forward, we're going to need to rectify that. Additionally, I think we're going to need a path forward on some sort of mandatory reporting with these debt projects. I'm aware and understand that the way that the long timeline of dealing with the budgets means that by the time that they're starting to deal with the developing the budget, and I guess now we in the future will be involved with developing the budget, they won't have all the granular information that one would ideally like. And that kind of flows through in terms of the bond needs to happen at a certain time of year for that market stability. But at some point, there's got to be more granularity, and I think the public should be kept up to date on what we're putting on the credit card, so to speak, about the bond. Anyway, that is my thoughts for going forward. But again, we are kind of thrown into this towards the end of the process in this cycle. All right. So with that, the clerk may take a roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Nay.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Yay.
Councilmember Strawn,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
That is 6-1.
Resolution passes. I'm sorry, the ordinance passes. Next, we have introductory resolution R 24-08, considered in finance. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Okay, here's the fun part of now that we swallowed the bad pill. This is a resolution to authorize the mayor to accept a grant for $250,000 from Crest for a pumper fire truck. So this matches the bond amount for the pumper fire truck that we just approved, and this is courtesy of Senator Webb. Did I read enough of it? Yes, I did.
Is there a second?
I'll
make
second.
the second.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilman Dundon. Discussion.
Thank you, Senator Webb.
There anyone else that's interested?
No.
Discussion. All right.
Thank you.
The clerk may take a roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Yay.
Councilmember Middleton,
Yay.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Yay.
Councilmember Strawn,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss, Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye. Okay.
7-0.
Okay. The resolution carries. All right. Next, we have introductory ordinance O24-09, considered in finance. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
This is resolution to amend the 2023 general fund budget for over budget items at the 2023 year end.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motioned by Councilmember Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilwoman Middleton. Discussion. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
So as we went through these items, kind of point by point with Chuck in the work session, So I won't belabor it, other than to give the general overview that the city runs on a modified accrual form of accounting. So when stuff starts closing out the end of the year, for expenses incurred in 2023, as some of those trailing bills and things roll in, streetlights being a very good example, that electric bill for December doesn't come rolling in till January. And sometime, as you all know from your NICEAG bills. So we have to go back, and even though it's now almost 60 days after the end of the year, we need to go back and we're able to go back and clean up the budget to make sure those expenditures align properly. Expenditures align properly with allocations. So that's essentially what this process is. It's not spending any extra money. It's transferring money that's coming in. And we did have some questions on the sales tax coming in, when that comes in percentages. And I think that's something we are asking for some reporting coming from the comptroller's office going forward again, to just kind of get a better handle on that process and when things clear through the county and actually get to the city on the revenue side. That was kind of my summation of the work session discussion as I remember it. Anyone else want to chime in?
Any further discussion? Okay. The clerk may take a roll.
Councilmember Porter. Councilmember Porter. Oh, sorry.
Nay.
Councilmember Middleton.
Yay.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Yay.
Councilmember Dundon.
Yay.
Councilmember Strawn.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
That is 6-1.
The ordinance passes. All right, next we have introductory resolution R 24-12, considered in municipal and public affairs. Councilwoman Middleton.
This is, I'm sorry, this is a resolution authorizing the Rumble Ponies to conduct firework displays in 2024. And basically it's the Rumble Ponies have requested to conduct firework displays at the Marabito Stadium, and they have the dates attached to that. And that's all they're looking for us to give them permission to do so. So that's it.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
Second, yes. Chris, thank you. Motioned by Councilwoman Middleton, seconded by Councilwoman Kavanaugh. Any discussion? I will admit, I guess I'm getting some pressure to admit publicly that I am not a fan of large amounts of fireworks, but I do understand that many members of the public deeply appreciate them. And so I will give it my support as somebody who is overall has small children and lives next to neighbors with dogs. So I will give credence to those who do not love the fireworks. All right. Anyone else want to say anything about the fireworks? Councilman Porter.
I think some of the people that tend to have the issue is that other people have no fireworks throughout other places other than the place that is mandated, which is the stadium. People tend to have the complaints of usually other places within their neighborhoods, especially in districts I know in mine, where some people tend to shoot off the fireworks, their own fireworks. And sometimes I remember during the pandemic when we had fireworks on July 4th, it was like nonstop, and we have the issue of people just shooting off fireworks. And that became an issue for most people, and people complained about that. Even I complained about it. So maybe moving forward, or maybe do something about the some kind of law about people and fireworks within the city, and work on some kind of legislation dealing with that.
Yeah.
So that we can stop having that and be the only place where have the fireworks at would be just the stadium.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Again, discussion on the specific resolution that we are voting on. Any other discussion? Councilman Hotchkiss.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when this was, but this was either last year or the year before, but it stuck with me. There was a gentleman that made public comment or submitted it in an email who was a veteran who had PTSD, and I believe he lived very close to the district, and he was extremely frustrated with the constant fireworks. And I think that's like really stuck with me because there are a number of veteran supportive housing on like Pine Street, which is in that neighborhood, and now we're developing this tiny home veteran project, which is not super close to the stadium, but there's generally a lot of support for veterans. But there's people that are living with PTSD in that neighborhood, and I think we should be conscious of that there are like negative impacts of fireworks despite the joy that they bring. It's a residential neighborhood, and I think a lot of people do like the baseball stadium, but they might have a different opinion if they were next door to it all summer long and had fireworks consistently on every Friday and Saturday. So that's my thoughts.
Any other discussion? No, okay. All right. So the clerk may take a roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Yay.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Yay.
Councilmember Dundon,
Yay.
Councilmember Strawn,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
It's 7-0.
The resolution passes. So now we move on to introductory resolution R 24-13, considered in public works / parks. Councilwoman Middleton.
Okay, this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a supplemental agreement with Fisher Associates for the Ross Park recreational trail design. So on Monday, they came before city council.
Can we'll get a second first
Second.
and
Oh, sorry.
start the discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
introduced, motioned by Councilwoman Middleton, seconded by Councilman Dundon. Discussion.
Okay.
Back to you.
Oh, no, that's, sorry. So on Monday during work session, they came in, it was, I think Juliet and, Pat, who's leaving. Basically they spoke about a design, for Ross Park. I like the idea. I'm excited about Ross Park. I remember being a kid and going to the Discovery Center as a little girl. It wasn't, I feel like the Weiss, it was the Giant then, like it's still there. So all those things are like attached to me. So I'm very excited about having possibly, something different at Ross Park and also to bring more people to it. So that's just my opinion, thoughts.
Any further discussion? Councilman Kavanaugh.
One of the points that I was concerned about at the work session was there was no budget transfer included in this, and Dr. Berling did get back to us, and it's the money is already in the budget and in that specific budget line, so we're not moving money from anywhere else. We're not adding money to this budget. It's already here. It's just the matter is that the contract maximum for this design study was reached. That was the 250,000. So this is the supplement to do this extra work to that plan, their remedial work, because they have changed some of the as we went over on Monday, some of the trail designs have changed and stuff to better accommodate pre-existing infrastructure. So I just want to make clear that my questions and misgivings about the budget issue was resolved.
Thank you, Councilman Kavanaugh. Any further discussion? Okay. So we'll take a roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Yay.
Councilmember Middleton. Yay. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Yay.
Councilmember Dundon,
Yay.
Councilmember Strong.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Carol,
The motion, the resolution passes. All right. We now move on to communications from council. So we'll start with District 1, Councilman Porter.
Thank you. I see that we have all the people that were here have left, but I want to thank those that came, the veterans for the ceasefire, as well as those were pro-Israeli. I could only, I will speak for myself. I can't necessarily speak for everyone here. But what I feel about that resolution for a ceasefire is that being a person of color and recognizing apartheid, because we did have apartheid here in America. Some like to not think that, and so, but it happened. Oppression is oppression, and it's not something that is, as a person of color, you recognize it. And as well, the fact that you have Hamas, when I hear people talk about Hamas, I'm going, are you talking about the terrorist group, or are you talking about the people? Because it seems to be more synonymous with the people. So it kind of sets me back on that. And it seems to be one side seems to be much more heavy-handed with everything. And with the gentleman that was here wearing the Israeli flag, the fact is that there was carpet bombing. There was devastation. Then you had to tell the people to go south. And then would devastate that whole, and then now you're telling people to go north. And then there's nothing to go to. There's starvation happening rampantly. Seems to be heavy-handed. And it seems to be that, unfortunately, they say for Israel, which is odd for me, is that Israel to sit back and not claim or think about genocide is odd, due to the fact that the people who gained that state, was because of genocide. So I just find it odd that you're becoming the thing that you weren't. You're becoming the thing that you were against. I don't. I want the hostages to come. I want all this to stop. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. But I do commend them coming in, and I do commend them hearing them out. I also want to say on another subject, we're having a neighborhood watch, I believe, on the 12th of March, and it's supposed to be at Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. I recommend people to please come out to it. I will be there. Let me get to know who you are. Let me see if you got any grievances or so that I can know about those things. I want to also give a rest in power to Eric Mays, because he's a councilman in Flint, Michigan. He was well known for speaking up. Legislation was questionable at times, but the fact was he was one known for speaking up and speaking out loud, and because of him, there's even more reason why I continued on campaigning for it to be on the council. Because as many times I wanted to quit this because I saw some of the BS that was just going throughout the city, and with some of the things that happening within the administration. So that kept me going. I just want to give rest in power to Eric Mays. Also, a big congratulations, I know, to my hometown hero, Allen Iverson, known as Bubba Chuck. He's now getting the street in Newport News. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Porter. Councilwoman Middleton.
Yay, February is over. I just almost over, and it's still Black History Month. So I'm gonna read a poem in a second. But anyways, I just wanted to say to Second District that I love you all. I think we're still just getting over the humps of everything. And I just want to first say to everybody on city council, I respect you all so much. Like, we have all came into this not knowing each other, and we're still getting to know each other. And it's just great to know that I have people on here that I feel like have my back. And I have your back also. Sometimes we might not all agree on the same thing, but the main objective is making sure that Binghamton is okay. And I feel like every single person here represents that, and I'm thankful for you all. Second District, I'm still looking for a place to hold our meetings, and hopefully that will come in soon. With all the distractions. So like I said, this is the last, tomorrow I think is the 29th. So it's the last day, almost the last day for Black History Month. And I love months. And so I'm going to read this poem by Audre Lorde, who's like one of my favorites. She's a feminist. Next month is Women's Month. And she's also a Black woman. So here it goes. And this poem is titled Now. Woman power is Black power, is human power, is always feeling. My heart beats as my eyes open, as my hands move, as my mouth speaks. I am, are you ready? By Audre Lorde. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Kavanaugh.
The parade day season will be upon us this weekend. I think you'll see most of us marching in the parade and gently pelting all of the small children with candy that they will torment you parents with. Just want to wish everyone a safe and happy parade day. It's Binghamton like no other time in Binghamton. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Dundon.
Yeah, I would just like to say the East Side Neighborhood Watch meets the first Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. And we meet at Hands of Hope Church, which is at 270 Robinson Street. So we'll have our next meeting next Tuesday. So I hope to see anybody who wants to come out and talk to me.
Councilman Strong.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just a couple quick things. I appreciate everybody tonight. Not that I would expect anything different, but I do appreciate it. I think everybody's been kind and gracious, and I thank you to the clerk's office for getting me these packets and the agendas. I did get the one from off the website for this meeting, but I appreciate it. I know it's been a crazy stretch. I tried to model what Councilman Kavanaugh said on the 5th, your special meeting of, letting the process play out and not being a distraction. I have been paying attention. I like what's going on. I like what everyone's doing. But I and the YouTube works great, by the way, for the clerk's office and everything else. So been kind of watching from using that tool, and trying not to be distraction during that time. And as long as I'm allowed to serve, I'd be the proud, one of my constituents, my former colleague Aviva Friedman. I'll be a proud representative for her in that new part of the district. I do thank you for having the town hall. I know it's an unfortunate situation on the 6th district. Actually, the way it's redrawn, both Weisses are technically, I think, in the 6th district. But for 15 years, I lived at 346 Conklin Ave. took very seriously the maintenance of my sidewalks because I personally saw people from, the east side of that district from Saratoga. I think technically that house is in President Matavisky's district now. I personally saw people walking with their carts to that Weiss. And everybody should take care of their sidewalks either way, but I know firsthand how important that store is to that side of town. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. My understanding that it's a non-starter, anything further with the Weiss Corporation, unfortunately, but anything that we can do or I can do as a group. But I do appreciate you having that town hall and listening to people from all over the city, but clearly in the sixth district. I appreciate Rebecca's participation in that as well, and anything that I can do to help. Hopefully something happens there. I know other businesses are gonna stand up, but there are issues that I hope that Binghamton Police and other people can help with, as far as panhandling and other things that are going on that are creating issues for a lot of the stores over there. And as a business person, they're real things, and somebody mentioned that earlier, them losing money and things like that. So hopefully we can all work together to try to solve some of those things that are hindering those businesses, causing problems for them as well, so that nothing else erodes in that area. But that's it. I appreciate, like I said, everybody's support, and I'm willing to work with everyone, and I respect everyone and congratulate everyone on the success. I know that everybody in this room wants what's best for the city of Binghamton. I know Councilman Middleton just said that Binghamton is okay. I think she said, and I think we agree on that, and I certainly do too. So I understand, and I also appreciate being appointed to every committee. We'll see. I don't know if you guys are having a lot of committee meetings, but I guess I'll be busy in that sense. But that's all. I just wanted to thank everyone, and as long as I'm allowed to serve, I'll try to do my best with you all in the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hotchkiss.
Got a few different topics. I think over the weekend, I went to a Stand with Ukraine rally, and I think it helped me put into perspective what local government, the role that we might have in international conflicts, where I don't think any of us necessarily ran because we wanted to weigh in on geopolitics and we thought that was our purpose. But there is a huge impact with the local Ukrainian community, and I know there's a huge impact with our local Jewish community with different geopolitical conflict, and our Palestinian community. And I think it's not like what we set out to do, but I think uplifting the voices of the people and their experiences, and obviously these issues are on everybody's mind that are in our local community, because it's on social media every day, it's on the news all the time. It gets way more coverage than anything that we'll ever do will receive, and I think it's important for us to play a role in that, because I think the Ukrainian-Russian war has matured, but their efforts start locally and then they build up to the level of Congress, and then that was made clear to me with the amount of support that they had at their rally. And I think the same thing will likely happen with efforts for a ceasefire resolution. So that's my thoughts on that. Regarding the court decision with District 6, I was really looking forward to working with Rebecca on City Council. We had just kicked off a really promising, interesting housing initiative, and the experience that she brings to that area is really, she has so much knowledge. It's like you can't like replace that, and I hope that she stays on even though she won't be on council. So yeah, it's a little disappointing that it didn't go the way we wanted it to, but we're still going to move forward and do what's best for the city of Binghamton. Last, on a much lighter note, the city of Binghamton app is really cool. I don't think enough people know about it. You can like take a picture of a pothole or a broken sign and report it to the code or DPW or parks. And I've had an amazing experience with it so far. There's been like maybe 3 to 5 issues that I've like pointed out and seen it been fixed, and you get a notification when it's done. So I just want to say thank you to the departments that are extremely responsive to anything that goes through the city app. And if you are somebody who has a lot of issues and is very observant in your neighborhood, I recommend it. I don't think everything necessarily has to go through city council. When you got a direct line to all the relevant departments right on your phone. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Hotchkiss. And yes, so that the app hadn't been functioning. That was something that we were pushing on the everyone to get going, and it's working. And I was going to make a similar announcement now that I've tested out. I was testing out the different functionalities and seeing which department heads got the results and having them send me back the request. So it really does work. All right. Speaking of IT and doing good things, I wanted to thank them for getting our work session room really fully up and running. We had been asking for a computer. I was visualizing a desktop for actually working on documents, but what we got was a wall hang computer, which will be amazing for all the committee meetings that we will be having. But I will be trying to see if there's a leftover desktop computer that is more in line with actually working on legislation as opposed to cranking my neck. I wanted to say thank you to Acting Commissioner Paludi for coming to speak at the Southside Neighborhood Assembly last night. It was a great meeting. And I really appreciate that they actually changed the day of the week because they've always met on Wednesdays. They moved it to Tuesday so that it wouldn't conflict with our meeting. So I really feel like they went above and beyond to accommodate me. So I really deeply appreciate that. And big shout out if you are in either District 5 or 6 and on the south side part of District 6, the Southside Neighborhood Assembly really is for you. So I was out flyering yesterday, requesting residents reach out and share their experiences about ATVs and dirt bikes, continuing to flyer to get more constituent input. If you live in District 5, please reach out to me on that topic. I continue to work on the Wise on Conklin issue, looking for solutions. Keep sending in the public comment. Thank you to all of those that submitted written public comment relating to the Wise. Really keep the pressure on us to get the best solutions we can. And upcoming events for District 5. We have March 1st Friday art show and free admission night at Discovery Center. That's March 1st from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then we've got the 2024 Binghamton Fire Post Parade Day Party. Not all of the partying is going to be happening just in the downtown west side. Wow. I'm excited to be checking out celebrations on Park at 136 Park Ave, sometime between the hours of 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. on March 2nd to celebrate. And there's more information about that event on the Binghamton Firefighters Benevolent Association Facebook page. And then I also have March 3rd. So if March or first Friday doesn't work for you for a free admission night for the Discovery Center, hopefully March 15th does. And again, go to the Discovery Center Facebook page or website to get more information about those events. And with that, is there anyone interested in making a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.